I never thought my golden years would turn into a battlefield of broken promises and hidden resentments. At 58, I'm Jada Mitchell, a black woman who's weathered more storms than I care to count, raising 2 daughters alone after my husband walked out when they were little, scraping by on double shifts as a nurse's aide in Chicago's South Side hospitals. My skin, a deep mahogany that's seen too much sun from those long walks to bus stops, tells stories of resilience, but my eyes, lined with fatigue, hold the weight of disappointment. I've got silver threading through my tight curls now, and my hands, calloused from years of lifting patients and scrubbing floors, ache on rainy days. But nothing prepared me for the day my younger daughter, Kendra, called with that pleading tone in her voice. "Mom, the old house is falling apart," I said into the phone, my voice steady but laced with the desperation I'd been fighting. The place I'd called home for decades, a modest 2-bedroom bungalow in Englewood, with its peeling paint and sagging porch, was indeed on its last legs. Rain leaked through the roof like tears from heaven, pooling on the warped wooden floors. I'd patched it as best I could, but at my age, climbing ladders wasn't an option anymore. It's raining cats and dogs here, and everything's soaking wet. I can't stay like this. Can I come crash with you and Marcus for a bit? Kendra hesitated, her voice muffled as if she was covering the receiver. Kendra, my baby girl, with her smooth caramel skin and bright smile that could light up a room, had always been my soft spot. She'd married Marcus, a tall, broad-shouldered man with a goatee and a job as a mechanic, 3 years ago. They lived in a cozy apartment in Hyde Park, nothing fancy but stable. "Mom, that might not work," she finally said. "We've only got the 2 bedrooms, one for us and one for the baby when he comes. There's no space." I swallowed hard, staring at the water dripping into a bucket in my kitchen. "Kendra, honey, I'm your mama. I raised you and your sister by myself after your daddy left. I've got nowhere else. The neighborhood's talking about redevelopment, but who knows when that'll happen. I promise, if it does, I'll make it right. Maybe even help with your down payment on a house." There was a pause. Then excitement crept into her voice. "Redevelopment? Like they're tearing down the old blocks? Mom, that's huge. How much do you think we'd get? Enough for a new place? Maybe $300,000? I sighed, rubbing my temple. "Sweetie, I didn't say it's happening for sure. Folks have been whispering about it for years. Urban renewal, they call it. But nothing's moved. The village elders, or what passes for them around here, say it's a long shot." The line went quiet. When Kendra spoke again, her tone had cooled. "You should have said that up front, Mom. I got excited for nothing. Look, the house isn't gonna collapse tomorrow. Just tough it out till the rain stops." "But it's not safe," I pressed, my voice cracking. "The roof's caving in places, and with these storms, Kendra, I'm scared. The neighbors say I should move in with family." "Then rent a place downtown till it blows over," she suggested, as if it were that simple. "Rent? Baby, I can barely afford groceries on my pension. Social Security doesn't stretch far these days." She huffed. "So what? You want us to pay? Mom, we're tight too. Marcus's shop is slow and the baby's due soon." I took a deep breath, picturing her face, those high cheekbones like mine, but softer, unscarred by life. No, I just thought I could stay with y'all, help out. I'm still strong. I can cook, clean, watch the baby when he comes. I won't be a burden." "That doesn't sound right," she said flatly. "A mom living with her daughter's husband? Our place is small, 800 square feet. No room for extras." "Extras?" The word stung. "I could sleep on the couch, Kendra. Your daddy's gone. The house is falling apart. Who else do I have but you and your sister? Speaking of, why not ask Aisha? Her place with Tyrone is bigger." I bit my lip. Aisha, my eldest, with her warm brown eyes and braided hair that swung like pendulums, lived in a cramped townhouse in Bronzeville. Tyrone had hurt his back at the warehouse last year, and they were scraping by. You know their situation. Tyrone's still recovering, and their place is tiny. Plus, y'all are doing better. That's not fair, Mom. You're guilting me. We're all family. Why us? And honestly, sons-in-law aren't obligated to house moms-in-law. Figure something out. Don't waste time here. Her words hit like a slap. Kendra, have some heart. I raised you alone. Worked nights so you could eat. Just till the rain stops, please. No, Mom. If you come, what if you never leave? Fix the house instead. Fix it? In this weather? And it costs money I don't have. Lend me some for repairs? She laughed bitterly. Lend? We're broke too. School fees for the kid coming. Sorry, can't help. I felt tears welling. When y'all bought that apartment, I gave you my last $20,000 from savings. Without it, I'd be better off now. How can you forget? That was voluntary. Your gift to me as a daughter. Don't throw it back now. And all those holidays, the food I sent, chicken, veggies from the market, that was to keep you sweet to me. But now, you're on your own. The call ended abruptly. I sat in my leaking kitchen, the drip-drip echoing my heartbreak. But then I called Aisha. Her voice, warm and steady, was a balm. Mom, everything okay? The house is crumbling, baby. Rain everywhere. Can I stay with y'all a bit? Without hesitation. Mom, why didn't you say sooner? Pack up. Tyrone and I are coming to get you. The sound of tires crunching on the wet gravel outside my crumbling bungalow pulled me from my worries. There they were, Aisha and Tyrone, pulling up in their battered old Ford pickup, its rusty blue paint chipped from years of Chicago winters. Tyrone stepped out first, his tall, muscular frame moving with a careful limp, a reminder of the back injury he'd suffered last year at the warehouse. His dark skin glistened with a light sheen of sweat under the overcast sky, and his neatly trimmed beard framed a warm, reassuring smile that always put me at ease. Aisha followed, her strong shoulders squared with determination, her kind brown eyes, framed by stylish glasses, lighting up as she saw me. At 35, she looked so much like me in my younger days, with her deep mahogany skin and natural hair twisted into a protective updo that bounced with each step. They enveloped me in a tight hug, their arms strong and familiar, chasing away the chill of the rain-soaked afternoon. Mom, why didn't you call sooner? Of course you're coming with us, Aisha said, her voice soft but firm, rubbing my back like she did when she was a little girl, comforting me after a long shift. I wiped my eyes, glancing at Tyrone. Y'all sure about this? With your back still healing, Tyrone. I don't want to be a burden. He waved it off with a deep, rumbling laugh, his scarred hands gently taking my bags. Burden? Ms. Jada? Your family. Aisha's been pacing the floor worrying about you out here alone in this mess. Our home is yours. No questions asked. We're excited to have you. Their words wrapped around me like a warm blanket, easing the knot in my chest. We loaded up quickly, my few belongings fitting easily into the truck bed. As we drove away from Englewood toward their townhouse in Bronzeville, I watched the familiar streets blur by, a mix of relief and guilt swirling inside me. Their place was modest, a 2-bedroom row house with faded blue siding and a small front stoop cluttered with kids' bikes from the neighbors. Inside, it smelled of fresh laundry and Aisha's favorite lavender candles. Family photos lined the walls, me cradling baby Aisha in the hospital, the girls grinning at their high school graduations, even one of Tyrone and Aisha on their wedding day, all beaming smiles. They set me up in the spare room on a comfy pull-out couch, with fresh sheets and a quilt I'd sewn years ago. It wasn't fancy, but it felt like a palace compared to the leaking roof I'd left behind. Days melted into weeks, and I found ways to pitch in, grateful for the purpose it gave me. I'd wake early, my arthritis-stiffened fingers slowly loosening as I whipped up soul food classics from my Mississippi roots, crispy fried chicken with collard greens simmered in ham hocks, or cornbread baked golden in my old cast-iron skillet. Tyrone, despite wincing from his back pain as he moved around, would tinker with leaky faucets or creaky doors in the house, his broad shoulders straining under his t-shirt. Aisha, Coming home from her teaching job with stacks of papers to grade, would collapse into a chair with a tired smile, her glasses slipping down her nose. "Mom, this smells amazing," she'd say, digging in. "You're spoiling us." Kendra called only once during those early days, her voice clipped and distant over the phone. "So you're at Aisha's now? Fine, I guess. But don't expect us to come running if things change. We've got our own stuff going on." The dismissal hurt, but I pushed it down. One evening, as rain pattered against the windows again, I confided in Aisha about the old neighborhood rumors. "Folks say the city's planning redevelopment, tearing down blocks for new apartments. If it happens, I could get some compensation. I'd share it, of course. But honestly, it's been talk for years. Nothing solid." Aisha set down her fork, her eyes softening. "Mom, forget about that for now. You're welcome here as long as you need. We love having you. The kids adore your stories, and Tyrone says your cooking beats anything." Guilt tugged at me harder. "But I'm getting on in years, baby. My joints ache, and I slow y'all down. Don't want to be a weight on you two." Tyrone leaned back in his chair, his deep voice gentle. "Wait? Ms. Jada, you're a blessing. I grew up in foster homes after losing my parents young. No real family. Bounced around, always feeling like an outsider. When Aisha brought me home that first time, you didn't judge my rough edges or my empty pockets. You just said, 'Treat my girl right, and you're welcome here.' No demands for fancy gifts or anything. I'll never forget that kindness. You're more family to me than blood ever was." His words touched a deep place in me. Tyrone, with his quiet strength and hands rough from years of manual labor, had become like a son. Orphaned at 10, he'd built his life from nothing, and his loyalty shone through. "You're family now, too," I replied, squeezing his hand. As the months stretched on and the relentless rain finally eased, the old house back in Englewood still loomed in my mind. It needed major repairs to be livable again. Tyrone, ever the fixer, offered, without hesitation, "Once storm season's fully over, I'll grab some tools and head over there with you. Patch the roof, shore up the foundation. You can visit whenever, or stay here full-time. Whatever feels right." I nodded gratefully, but deep inside, Kendra's cold rejection lingered like a shadow. She'd always been my favorite, the prettier one, with her lighter caramel skin that drew compliments everywhere, her infectious laugh that could charm anyone. I'd spoiled her growing up, slipping her extra allowance, buying her new clothes while Aisha made do with hand-me-downs. Now, that favoritism had backfired, leaving me with regrets. Kendra's husband, Marcus, with his slick talk, sharp features, and perpetual suits that screamed ambition, had charmed me too at first, but his true colors showed in how he'd dismissed me. One night over my homemade macaroni and cheese, creamy with just the right kick of seasoning, Aisha finally broached it gently. "Mom, why didn't you try Kendra first? Their apartment's closer to Englewood, and Marcus makes good money at the shop." I sighed, setting down my fork, the weight of it all pressing on me. "I did call her first, baby. Explained the house falling apart, the leaks everywhere. She said no space, then got all excited thinking about redevelopment money. When I said it wasn't guaranteed, she shut down, told me to tough it out or rent somewhere. No offer to help." Aisha's face hardened, her twist out bobbing as she shook her head. "Typical Kendra. You've always favored her, Mom. Remember when she and Marcus bought their place? You handed over $20,000 from your savings. When Tyrone and I got ours, we got nothing but congratulations." Shame flooded me, hot and unrelenting. "I know. I was wrong. Marcus charmed me with his big talk, but you've been the solid ones, through thick and thin." Tyrone reached across the table, his large hand covering mine. "We're good, Ms. Jada. No grudges. And if that redevelopment ever happens, it's all yours to decide." But I shook my head firmly. "If it does, it's for y'all. You've earned every bit, taking me in, no questions asked." As whispers of actual city plans for new housing started circulating, surveyors spotted in the neighborhood, community meetings buzzing, suspense built in the air like before a storm. But then Kendra called again, her voice probing and overly sweet. "Hey, Mom, any news on the old place? Heard some talk about changes." "No concrete updates," I replied curtly, my guard up. "Why the sudden interest?" "Just checking in," she said, but her tone was off, calculating, like she was fishing for details. I hung up, a knot of unease settling in my stomach. Little did I know, the real storm was brewing, one that would test every bond I'd ever built. Time has a way of slipping through your fingers like sand, especially when you're finally in a place that feels like home again. 5 years blurred by in Aisha and Tyrone's cozy townhouse in Bronzeville, each day weaving me deeper into the fabric of their lives. My silver-streaked curls framed a face etched with more laugh lines than before, thanks to the joy of watching my grandsons grow, 2 energetic boys with Tyrone's sturdy build and Aisha's sparkling eyes, always tugging at my skirt for stories of my Mississippi childhood, or begging for my famous peach cobbler. I'd rise early despite the ache in my knees, brewing strong coffee and preparing breakfasts of scrambled eggs, grits, and bacon that filled the house with comforting aromas. Tyrone, his beard now flecked with gray, would head out to his part-time warehouse shifts with a limp that never fully faded, while Aisha bustled off to teach at the local elementary school, her braided hair swaying as she kissed us goodbye. I pitched in where I could, babysitting the kids after school, helping with homework, or folding laundry while listening to old soul records on their vintage turntable. It wasn't glamorous, but it was family, real and unwavering, a far cry from the isolation of my leaking bungalow. Kendra, on the other hand, drifted in and out like a ghost. She'd visit maybe once or twice a year, her caramel skin glowing under perfectly applied makeup, her outfits always trendy, designer jeans and blouses that screamed success. But her eyes, sharp and calculating like her husband's, always scanned the room as if assessing value. Conversations were superficial. "How's the health, Mom?" or "Kids keeping you busy?" But inevitably, she'd circle back to the old house in Englewood. "Any updates on that redevelopment talk? I heard the city's pushing forward with plans, new condos, maybe even cash payouts." I'd shrug it off, saying it was still just rumors, but her persistence gnawed at me, a reminder of the favoritism I'd once shown her, now repaid with calculated interest. Then, one crisp autumn morning, the phone rang with the news that changed everything. I was in the kitchen, my calloused hands kneading dough for biscuits, when the city official's voice came through. "Ms. Mitchell, congratulations. Your property qualifies for the Urban Renewal Program. You'll receive 2 modern condos in the new development and a cash compensation of $300,000. Papers will arrive soon." I dropped the phone, my heart pounding like a drum at a second-line parade. "Aisha, Tyrone," I called out, my voice trembling with excitement. They rushed in, Aisha wiping her hands on a towel, Tyrone pausing mid-shave with foam on his chin. When I explained, their faces lit up. Aisha hugged me tight, her twists brushing my cheek, while Tyrone whooped and pumped his fist. "Mom, that's incredible, after all these years of waiting." But as the initial joy settled, I knew exactly what to do. Sitting at the worn oak table that evening, over plates of my smothered pork chops and rice, I looked at them steadily. "This money, these condos, they're for y'all. These 5 years, you've opened your home, your hearts. Cooked for me when my arthritis flared, drove me to doctor's appointments without complaint. Kendra? She turned her back when I needed her most. This is my way of saying thank you." Aisha's eyes widened, her glasses slipping down her nose. "Mom, no, we can't. That's your security, your future." "I insist, baby. You've earned it. Tyrone, you've been like a son, fixing things around here, sharing stories of your tough upbringing to make me feel less alone. This is right." Tyrone nodded slowly, his deep voice thoughtful. "Ms. Jada, we're honored. But only if you stay with us. Use 1 condo if you want space, but your family. Word spread fast in our tight-knit community, and soon Kendra heard through the grapevine, probably from a nosy cousin at church. Her call came that night, her voice bubbling with false enthusiasm. "Mom, oh my God, the house is finally getting redeveloped. That's amazing. I heard about the condos and the $300,000. Congrats. Listen, why don't you come stay with us now? Our apartment in Hyde Park has an extra room since the baby's older. Marcus and I can take care of you properly. Meals, doctor runs, the works. We've missed you." I gripped the phone tighter, staring out the window at the streetlights flickering on. Missed me? Kendra, it's been 5 years of radio silence. No visits, no calls unless you wanted something. When the house was falling apart, you told me to tough it out. Now, with money involved, suddenly there's space? She paused, her tone shifting to defensive. Mom, I was busy. Work, the kid, Marcus's shop. Life got hectic, but family comes first, right? Come over, we'll make it work. And hey, about the compensation. We could split it, help each other out. I laughed bitterly, the sound echoing in my chest. Split? No, honey. The money and condos are going to Aisha and Tyrone. They've been my rock, housed me, fed me, loved me without strings. You? You shut the door when I begged. Silence stretched, then exploded. What? Mom, that's not fair. I'm your daughter too, your baby girl. You always said I was special. How can you cut me out? That's my inheritance. Inheritance? This ain't some windfall. It's compensation for my home. And who stood by me? Not you. Goodbye, Kendra. She hung up, but Marcus called next, his slick voice oozing charm like oil. Mom, Jada, let's talk this through. Kendra's upset, thinks you're playing favorites. We could use some help too with the baby and all. Maybe divide it evenly? Family sticks together. No, Marcus. Y'all had your chance 5 years ago. This is justice. The suspense mounted as lawyers got involved, papers confirming the payout, but Kendra threatened a lawsuit, claiming entitlement as heir. You'll regret this, she texted. I'm fighting for what's mine. Memories have a way of resurfacing like old scars itching under fresh skin, especially when betrayal stings anew. As I sat in Aisha and Tyrone's living room one evening, the compensation papers spread out on the coffee table like a map to a long-delayed justice. My mind wandered back to the weddings that had first cracked open the fault lines in our family. It started with Kendra's engagement to Marcus 5 years before my house troubles began. Kendra, then 28, had burst into my old bungalow one sunny afternoon, her caramel skin flushed with excitement, her long straightened hair swinging as she waved a sparkling diamond ring under my nose. Mom! Marcus proposed. We're getting married in 6 months, big church ceremony, reception at that fancy hall downtown. I hugged her tight, my heart swelling despite the twinge of worry about costs. At 53 then, I was still working double shifts at the hospital, my deep mahogany hands raw from sanitizers, my back aching from lifting patients. That's wonderful, baby. What can I do to help? Her smile faltered slightly as she sat down, crossing her legs in her stylish skirt. Well, Marcus's family is helping, but we need more. The venue's $10,000, dress another $2,000. And Mom, they want double everything. 2 sets of rings, 2 honeymoon spots. It's for twin blessings, Marcus says, like ensuring good luck for the marriage. I blinked, confused. Twin blessings? Kendra, you don't have a twin. That sounds like code for extras. Honey, we can't afford that. Your daddy left us high and dry. I've got maybe $20,000 saved from overtime. She leaned in, her sharp eyes pleading. Please, Mom. You've always said I'm your special girl. This is my dream wedding. If we cut corners, it'll look cheap. Marcus's folks are pitching in big. Don't make us look bad. Guilt twisted in me. I'd always favored Kendra, buying her new school clothes while Aisha got thrift store finds, slipping her allowance boosts for dates. Against my better judgment, I handed over the $20,000, depleting my nest egg. Okay, for you. But promise me you'll visit more after. The wedding was lavish. Kendra in a flowing white gown that hugged her curves, Marcus in a tailored tux, his sharp features beaming under the church lights. I sat in the back row, my simple dress feeling out of place among the suits and pearls, watching as they exchanged vows. But the double demands had ballooned, extra catering, duplicate favors, pushing costs sky high. I smiled through it, but inside, resentment simmered. Contrast that with Aisha's wedding to Tyrone 2 years earlier. Aisha, practical and grounded, had planned a simple backyard affair in Bronzeville. No demands for extravagance. "Mom, we don't need fancy stuff," she'd said over tea in my kitchen, her braided hair tied back, her warm brown eyes steady. "Tyrone's from humble roots like us. Just your blessing means the world." Tyrone, with his broad shoulders and quiet demeanor, had nodded. "Ms. Jada, we're keeping it real. No debt for one day." I gave them what I could, a modest $5,000 for the honeymoon, but they insisted on paying most themselves. The ceremony was intimate. Aisha in an elegant off-the-rack dress that accentuated her strong frame, Tyrone in a rented suit, his beard neatly groomed. Laughter filled the air, potluck dishes from neighbors on picnic tables. No doubles, no drama, just love. Now, with the $300,000 compensation and 2 condos secured, Kendra circled like a shark sensing blood. Her calls ramped up, each one more insistent. "Mom, let's meet. We deserve a share. I'm family too. Remember my wedding? You gave so much." I met her at a neutral coffee shop in the Loop, the bustling city noise a buffer for the tension. Kendra arrived looking polished, designer bag, manicured nails, while I sat in my worn cardigan, silver curls pinned back. "Kendra, why the cold shoulder these years? When I needed a roof, you said no. Now money's involved?" She sipped her latte, avoiding my gaze. "Busy life, Mom. But you always loved Aisha more. Practical Aisha. Reliable Aisha. I was the wild one. It's not fair cutting me out." The irony burned. "Loved you more? I spoiled you rotten. Extra money. That wedding fund. Aisha got scraps. This is balance." She slammed her cup down. "Balance? I'll sue if I have to. Half's mine by right." Suspense gripped me like a vice as weeks dragged on. Kendra filed a claim, her lawyer arguing familial entitlement. Sleepless nights followed, my arthritis flaring from stress. Aisha held my hand in court, her presence a rock. Tyrone researched precedents late into the night. The judge, a stern woman with wire-rimmed glasses, ruled swiftly. "The property and compensation are solely Ms. Mitchell's. No legal claim from the plaintiff." Relief flooded me as I signed everything over to Aisha and Tyrone in the lawyer's office, their grateful tears mirroring mine. "Mom, we'll honor this," Aisha whispered. Kendra's final text, "You're dead to me." She blocked us all, severing ties in a blaze of fury. The fractures ran deep, wedding woes foreshadowing greed's rot. But in the ruins, I found clarity. True family isn't blood, it's unwavering support. As whispers of Aisha's own challenges loomed, a mild health scare with her blood pressure, Tyrone's steadfast care echoed the loyalty I'd finally chosen to reward. Yet the past's shadows lingered, hinting at more revelations ahead. Kindness, I've learned, is like a seed planted in fertile soil. It grows roots deep and bears fruit when you least expect it, but only if nurtured with genuine care. In the wake of the compensation windfall, the $300,000 cash and 2 sleek new condos in the redeveloped Englewood complex, I felt a profound urge to repay Aisha and Tyrone for their unwavering support. But life, ever the unpredictable force, threw another curveball just months after the papers were signed. It was a crisp winter morning, the kind where Chicago's wind bites through your coat like icy teeth. Tyrone, now 40 with more gray in his beard and a persistent hunch from his old injury, had been pushing himself too hard at the warehouse, lifting crates despite doctors' orders to take it easy. He slipped on black ice in the loading dock, twisting his back anew and fracturing a vertebra. The call came while I was babysitting the grandsons, stirring oatmeal in the kitchen, my silver curls tied back under a scarf, my hands steadier than they'd been in years, thanks to the arthritis meds Aisha insisted on. "Mom, it's Tyrone. He's at the ER." Aisha's voice cracked over the phone. Her usual composure shattered. I could picture her at the hospital, pacing in her sensible teacher flats, her braided hair disheveled from running her fingers through it in worry. I rushed over with the boys in tow, my heart pounding as we navigated the sterile halls of the South Side Hospital, the scent of antiseptic mingling with the faint aroma of cafeteria coffee. Tyrone lay in the bed, his muscular frame looking vulnerable under the thin blanket, his dark skin pale from pain, sweat beading on his forehead despite the chill. "Ms. Jada?" He managed a weak smile, his voice gravelly. "Didn't mean to scare y'all. Just a slip, doc says surgery, then rehab. Few months off work." Aisha clutched his hand, her warm brown eyes red-rimmed. "We can't afford this, Mom. His insurance covers some, but the deductible's $5,000. And lost wages. We'll manage, but it's tight." I pulled her aside in the hallway, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. "Baby, let me help. That compensation, it's not just sitting there. Use some for this. You've given me a home. Now let me give back." She shook her head firmly. "No, Mom. That's your security. We'll figure it out, maybe a loan. Or I pick up extra tutoring." But I insisted, drawing on the strength I'd rebuilt these years. "Listen, Aisha. When your daddy left, I scraped by alone. But y'all, you've shown me family means showing up. Tyrone's been like a son, fixing my old radio last week, sharing laughs over barbecue. This is what the money's for." Kendra? Absent as ever. I called her once, hoping the crisis might soften her. "Your brother-in-law's hurt bad, surgery tomorrow, could use family support." Her response was clipped, echoing through the phone like a distant echo. "Sorry to hear, Mom, but we're swamped. Marcus's promotion, the kids' school. Send our best. No visit, no card, not even a fruit basket." It stung, but confirmed what I knew her heart had iced over long ago. As Tyrone recovered, slowly, with physical therapy sessions where I'd tag along, offering encouragement as he gritted through exercises on mats in the rehab center, I doubled down on my decision. Once he was back on his feet, albeit with a cane for support, I sat them down in the living room, the boys playing quietly with blocks on the rug. "The money and one condo, take it. Upgrade this place, get something bigger in a better school district. You've earned it. Caring for me when Kendra wouldn't even pick up the phone." Tyrone protested, his deep voice earnest. "Ms. Jada, we can't. You've already given us so much. Your time, your love. That compensation is your nest egg for retirement. Maybe a little travel. We've got each other. We'll bounce back." Aisha nodded, tears glistening. "He's right, Mom. We appreciate it, but no. Use it for yourself. Maybe visit cousins down south, or fix up the second condo for rental income." But I stood firm, my voice steady as I met their eyes. "Listen here. These 5 years, you've housed me without a whisper of complaint. Aisha, you drove me to church every Sunday, listened to my stories without rolling your eyes. Tyrone, you fixed every leaky faucet, shared your foster care tales to make me feel seen. Kendra? She ghosted me until money talked. This is balance, kindness repaid. Take it, or I'll donate it to charity." They relented, hugging me tight. We used part to buy them a spacious 3-bedroom house in Oak Park, white picket fence, backyard for the boys, modern kitchen where I could bake to my heart's content. The move was joyous, packing boxes amid laughter, the grandsons racing through empty rooms. "Grandma's room," they shouted, claiming a sunny space for me. Kendra learned through a mutual friend, her rage boiling over in a furious voicemail. "Mom, how dare you? Giving everything to Aisha? I'm your daughter too. That's theft. You owe me for all I've done." I deleted it, No response. Her betrayal, once a wound, now scarred over. In the new house, as Tyrone grilled burgers in the yard, his limp less pronounced, his smile genuine, I felt the cycle complete. Kindness repaid, not in coin, but in unbreakable bonds. Yet whispers of Kendra's escalating demands, rumors of her pressuring Marcus for luxuries, hinted that fractures might widen further, suspense lingering like smoke after a fire. It happened to me one quiet afternoon in the new house in Oak Park, about a year after the compensation had settled everything into a fragile peace. My deep mahogany skin marked by faint age spots on my hands, my silver curls often tucked under a colorful headscarf as I tended the small garden out back, planting vibrant marigolds and zinnias that reminded me of my Mississippi roots. The grandsons, now 8 and 6, with their boundless energy and gap-toothed grins, kept me on my toes, chasing them around the yard or reading bedtime stories in my cozy room upstairs. Aisha and Tyrone had turned one of the condos into a rental for extra income, but insisted I live with them full-time, their home a sanctuary of laughter and stability. That day, I was sipping iced tea on the porch swing, the summer breeze rustling the leaves, when our neighbor, Mrs. Evelyn Harris, a spry 70-year-old black woman with salt and pepper locks cascading down her back and a no-nonsense demeanor honed from decades as a school principal, ambled over with a plate of fresh-baked lemon bars. Her warm brown eyes, framed by laugh lines, sparkled as she settled into the chair beside me, her floral dress fluttering lightly. "Jada, girl, you look like the weight of the world's on your shoulders. What's eating at you?" I sighed, setting down my glass, the condensation dripping like tears. "Just thinking about family, Evelyn. My youngest, Kendra, she's cut me off completely since the inheritance. It's like I never existed to her unless there's money involved." Evelyn nodded knowingly, her voice rich with southern drawl from her Alabama upbringing. "Family can break your heart worse than any stranger. Reminds me of that awful story from down the block last year. You remember Mrs. Loretta Jenkins? That poor daughter-in-law of hers, Tanya, jumped from the third-floor balcony after a fight over $300 for the grandbaby's medicine." The words hit me like a punch to the gut, stirring up dark memories I'd buried deep. I leaned forward, my arthritis-flaring hands gripping the armrest. "What happened exactly?" I heard whispers, but not the details. Evelyn leaned in closer, her expression grave as she recounted the tale. Loretta was a piece of work, sharp-tongued, always favoring her son over everyone else. Tanya, sweet girl, about 28 with smooth ebony skin and those big, hopeful eyes, was raising their toddler alone most days while her husband worked doubles at the factory. The baby came down with a high fever, 104 degrees, coughing like crazy. Tanya begged Loretta for $300 to cover the ER copay and antibiotics, since their insurance deductible was sky high. Loretta refused flat out. "That's your problem," she snapped. "I ain't your bank. Raise your kid right and he wouldn't get sick," Tanya pleaded, explaining how she'd skipped meals to save, but Loretta just laughed it off. "You married my son for his money, didn't you? Well, earn it." Evelyn shook her head sadly. The fight escalated. Loretta accused Tanya of being lazy, said she was milking the family dry. Tanya, at her breaking point, climbed out the window in despair. Fell 3 stories, broke her legs, spine fractured. Doctors saved her, but she's in a wheelchair now. Her husband divorced Loretta's son, took the kid. Loretta, alone now, regretting it all, but too proud to admit. The parallels crashed over me like waves, Loretta's selfishness mirroring Kendra's cold rejection when I'd needed shelter. Kendra, with her privileged life, had dismissed my pleas over a leaking roof, much like Loretta over that medicine money, both driven by greed, favoritism, leaving devastation in their wake. Evelyn, that's heartbreaking. Makes me think of my own girls. Kendra, she's become so entitled, always chasing more, never giving back. Evelyn patted my hand gently. "Some folks learn too late. But you? You've got Aisha and Tyrone, solid as oak. Don't let the past poison the now. Her words lingered, but the real jolt came a week later. An anonymous letter slipped under our door, the envelope plain white with no return address. Postmarked from Hyde Park, Kendra's neighborhood. My hands trembled as I opened it in the kitchen, sunlight streaming through the window onto the granite counters Aisha had chosen. The note, typed in stark black ink, read, "Jada, you need to know the truth about Kendra. She's mistreating her mother-in-law, verbal abuse, controlling finances, even threats." Marcus turns a blind eye. "Check for yourself, it's getting bad." A concerned neighbor. My heart raced, a cold sweat breaking out on my forehead. Kendra abusing her in-law? It echoed Loretta's story too closely, and my own experiences with favoritism's fallout. Suspense gripped me. Was this revenge for the inheritance, or genuine? I confided in Aisha that evening as she chopped vegetables for dinner, her glasses fogging slightly from the steam. "Mom, this could be a hoax. Kendra's petty, but abuse? We should investigate quietly, maybe drive by, talk to neighbors." Tyrone, rubbing his still sore back as he set the table, agreed. "Yeah, Ms. Jada, I'll come with. If it's true, we confront her. If not, we drop it." We drove to Hyde Park the next day, parking discreetly across from Kendra's apartment building, a modern mid-rise with manicured lawns. Through binoculars from the car, we saw Kendra on the balcony, her figure sleek in yoga pants, yelling at an elderly woman, Marcus's mom, Mrs. Gloria, a frail lady in her 70s with short gray hair and a walker, her light brown skin sallow from age. "You're useless. Eating our food, taking space, pay up or get out." Kendra's voice carried faintly, sharp and unyielding. Mrs. Gloria cowered, murmuring apologies. "I gave what I could. My pension check. Please, Kendra. I'm family." "Family? You're a leech. Move to a home if you can't contribute." My blood boiled. It was abuse, plain and vicious. Heartbroken, I whispered to Aisha, "How could she, after everything I taught her about respect?" We confronted Kendra later that week at her door. She opened it, surprise flashing across her made-up face. "Mom? Aisha? What are you doing here?" I held up the letter. "We know about Mrs. Gloria. The yelling, the demands. How could you treat her like that?" Kendra's eyes narrowed, her posture defensive. "That's none of your business. She's lazy, always asking for handouts. Sound familiar, Mom? Like you did 5 years ago." Aisha stepped in, her voice steady. "That's different. You abandoned Mom. Now you're bullying an old woman? Stop, Kendra. Get her help, or we'll report it." Kendra slammed the door. "Mind your own. You're hypocrites, taking all the money." The drive home was silent, my tears flowing freely. The betrayal deepened, Kendra's cruelty a mirror of the selfishness I'd once enabled, but it solidified my resolve. Kindness repaid to the deserving, boundaries for the toxic. As suspense built toward potential escalation, would Kendra lash out further? I clung to my true family, vowing to protect them from the fractures widening anew. Confrontations rarely end with a slammed door. They ripple outward like stones skipped across a still pond, stirring up mud from the depths and forcing hidden truths to the surface. In the days following our tense standoff at Kendra's apartment in Hyde Park, the air in our Oak Park home felt thick with unspoken worry. I paced the sunlit kitchen, my silver curls catching the morning light filtering through the lace curtains, my deep mahogany hands wringing a dish towel as if it could squeeze out the anxiety knotting my stomach. Aisha, ever the steady one, brewed chamomile tea to calm us, her braided hair pulled into a neat bun, her warm brown eyes shadowed with concern behind her glasses. Tyrone sat at the table, his broad shoulders tense, rubbing his still aching back as he scrolled through his phone for legal advice on elder abuse. The grandsons, sensing the mood, played quietly in the living room with their toy cars. their innocent chatter a stark contrast to the storm brewing in my mind. "We can't just walk away," I said finally, sinking into a chair with a sigh that carried the weight of my 64 years. "Mrs. Gloria, she's frail, in her 70s, with that walker and those trembling hands. Kendra's screams, it was verbal venom, pure and simple. If we ignore it, we're complicit." Aisha nodded, stirring honey into her tea. "You're right, Mom. But storming back might make it worse. Kendra's volatile. She'll deny everything, twist it like she did with you. We need proof, or at least allies." "Marcus, maybe he doesn't know the full extent." Tyrone looked up, his beard framing a thoughtful frown. "Marcus is a slick one, always in those sharp suits, talking big about his mechanic shop promotions. But he's got a soft spot for his mom. Remember at their wedding? He doted on her, helped her down the aisle. If we talked to him privately, the plan formed over that tea, I'd reach out to Marcus directly, away from Kendra's influence." My fingers trembled as I dialed his number later that evening, sitting alone on the porch swing, the cool Chicago breeze whispering through the leaves. "Marcus, it's Jada. We need to talk about your mom." He agreed to meet at a neutral coffee shop downtown the next day, his voice hesitant but curious. When he arrived, his tall frame clad in a crisp button-down, his sharp features etched with fatigue under his goatee, he slid into the booth across from me. "Mom Jada, what's this about? Kendra said y'all ambushed her." I leaned forward, my voice steady despite the racing pulse. "It's about Gloria. We saw Kendra berating her on the balcony, calling her a leech, demanding money, threatening to kick her out. It's abuse, Marcus. Verbal, emotional." Gloria looked terrified. His eyes widened, then narrowed in denial. "What? No, Kendra's stressed, work, the kids. Mom's been staying with us since Dad passed. And yeah, there are arguments, but abuse? That's a strong word." "Strong but true," I pressed gently, pulling out my phone to show notes from neighbor chats we'd gathered discreetly. "We talked to folks in your building. They hear the yelling nightly. Kendra accusing Gloria of freeloading, controlling her pension checks, isolating her from friends. One said Gloria's lost weight, looks haunted. This isn't normal family spats. It's breaking her down." Marcus rubbed his temples, his dark skin paling slightly as he processed. "God, I've been working late shifts, avoiding the tension. Kendra says Mom's dramatic, but last week, I found Mom crying in her room, saying Kendra took her debit card for safekeeping. I brushed it off, but now..." We talked for hours, the coffee growing cold. I shared my own story, Kendra's rejection when I'd needed shelter, her greed over the inheritance. "She's my daughter, Marcus, but she's changed. Hurt people. Gloria doesn't deserve this." He left shaken, promising to investigate. Days turned to a tense week, suspense hanging over us like storm clouds. Then a call from Marcus late one night. "Mom Jada, you were right. I confronted Kendra, recorded it secretly. She admitted taking Mom's money for house expenses, yelled that Gloria was a burden. Mom broke down, told me everything. Constant belittling, threats to evict her if she complained. I can't stay with someone like that." My heart ached. For him, for Gloria, even a flicker for Kendra. What now? "I'm moving Mom out tomorrow to my sister's place temporarily. And Kendra, we're done. Filing for divorce. She crossed a line I can't forgive." The fallout was swift and messy. Kendra called me in hysterics the next day. "Mom, Marcus is leaving, taking everything. He says it's because of Gloria, but it's your fault. You poisoned him against me." I took a deep breath, standing in my garden, the marigolds blooming vibrantly around me. "No, Kendra. This is on you. The way you treated Gloria, it's the same entitlement that pushed me away. Abuse isn't love, it's control." Marcus saw the truth. "Maybe this is your wake-up call." She screamed obscenities and hung up. Weeks later, the divorce papers were served. Irreconcilable differences, with Marcus citing emotional abuse toward his mother as grounds. Kendra fought it, her lawyer arguing stress and misunderstandings, but neighbors' testimonies and Marcus's recordings sealed it. She ended up with partial custody of their kids, but lost the apartment, moving to a smaller rental, her once polished life unraveling. Marcus had moved swiftly after the confrontation, packing up Gloria's belongings and relocating her to his sister's spacious home in Evanston, where she could recover in peace. Gloria, with her short gray hair regaining its bounce and her frail frame filling out from proper meals, blossomed there, joining a senior knitting group, her trembling hands steadying as she crafted scarves for the family. Marcus visited us often, his sharp features softened by gratitude, his goatee neatly trimmed as always. One Sunday afternoon, he stopped by with a homemade apple pie from Gloria, sitting at our kitchen table with its polished oak surface scarred from years of family meals. "Ms. Jada, I can't thank you enough," he said, his deep voice thick with emotion. That recording, hearing Kendra admit to pocketing Mom's pension for her shopping sprees, threatening to evict her if she complained, it broke me. Divorce was the only way. The judge awarded me primary custody of the kids, said Kendra's behavior showed instability. I nodded, pouring him coffee, the rich aroma filling the room. "It hurts, Marcus. She's my daughter, but her choices, they echo too many mistakes I enabled growing up, spoiling her, ignoring the signs of selfishness." Aisha, chopping carrots for dinner nearby, her braided hair swaying, chimed in softly. "We tried warning her, but greed blinds people. How's she holding up?" Marcus sighed, rubbing his temples. "Not well. Lost the apartment. Couldn't afford it alone. Moved to a rundown rental in Englewood, ironically near your old spot. She's working 2 jobs now, retail clerk days, waitress nights. No more designer clothes. Her caramel skin looks tired, eyes hollow. The kids ask about her, but visits are supervised. She's learning the hard way what it's like without a safety net." The news hit me like a cold wind, stirring a mix of pity and resolve. Kendra's financial awakening came brutally, bills piling up, credit cards maxed from her lavish habits, no Marcus to bail her out. She called me one rainy evening, her voice small and broken over the line, a far cry from her usual sharp tone. "Mom, it's me. I need help. The divorce cleaned me out. Rent's due, and the kids' school fees. Can I borrow $5,000? Just till I get on my feet." I sat in my cozy armchair, the quilt I'd sewn draped over my lap, staring at the family photos on the mantel. Aisha's wedding, the grandsons' birthdays, none recent with Kendra. "Kendra, honey, I'm sorry you're struggling, but no. That money's gone, invested in Aisha's home, our future. You made choices, rejecting me, abusing Gloria. Actions have consequences." She sobbed, her words tumbling out. "I know, Mom. I was wrong, greedy, angry about the inheritance. Gloria, she reminded me of you, always needing something. I took it out on her, controlled her money to feel powerful. But losing Marcus, the kids' halftime, it's killing me. I'm broke, eating ramen, working till my feet bleed. Please teach me how to fix this." My heart softened, but boundaries held firm. Start with apologies to Gloria, Marcus, Aisha. Get counseling, learn humility. Money won't fix your soul. I love you, but enabling stops here. She hung up quietly. But weeks later, a letter arrived, handwritten on plain paper, Kendra's elegant script shaky. "Mom, I'm sorry for everything. Rejected you when you needed shelter. Chased inheritance like it was owed. Abused Gloria out of my own insecurities. Therapy's helping. Seeing my entitlement roots from how you favored me. Working on amends. Can we meet?" We did, at a neutral park bench under blooming cherry trees in spring. Kendra looked changed. No makeup. Her long hair in a simple ponytail. Her figure slimmer from stress. Clad in thrift store jeans. "Mom," she said, tears streaming down her caramel cheeks. "I hit rock bottom. Divorce finalized last month. Marcus got the house. Most assets. I'm in a studio apartment. Budgeting every penny. No more luxuries. I'm learning to save. Cook cheap meals. The kids. They miss the old me. But I'm rebuilding trust. I hugged her, my arms enveloping her like when she was small. Baby, that's the start. Financial awakening hurts, but it's growth. Tyrone handed finances to Aisha years ago, trusted her, built together. Marcus tried with you, but control poisoned it. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I get it now. Pushed everyone away. Gloria forgave me, visited last week. Marcus, we're co-parenting civilly, but no reconciliation. He said my greed broke us. Resolution came gradually. Kendra moved in with a friend, took financial literacy classes at the community center, her sharp eyes now humbled. She visited us more, apologizing to Aisha over tea, playing with the grandsons without demands. I'm sorry, sis, she told Aisha one evening in the garden, the sun setting golden. Jealousy blinded me. You deserved the inheritance. Aisha, ever gracious, hugged her. Water under the bridge, but earn it back, with actions. I live peacefully now, my days filled with garden tending, story times, and quiet reflections. The old house sold in the redevelopment, funding a small trust for the grandson's education. Kendra regrets deeply, her divorce a harsh teacher, but boundaries remain. No handouts, only support through love. Suspense of further drama faded into hope. Perhaps forgiveness blooms in time. My final piece, surrounded by true family in a home built on repaid kindness, not fractured greed.